It was our essentially the state's initiative to reach out to all the states in the 81 corridor. And all of them were represented either in person or by phone, with the exception of New York. So we had representatives from Tennessee, from West Virginia, from Maryland, and from Pennsylvania. We ended up having presentations given to the group, first about rail and about rail improvements that are planned in the corridor, because obviously this corridor is one of the most heavily traveled by trucks in the eastern seaboard of the United States. And so one of the ways that we're looking to try and get some of the traffic off the corridor is by diverting some of it to train. We had a representative from Norfolk Southern, Rob Martinez, who's the vice president. He walked through particularly the Crescent Corridor project, which most of the states in the corridor do support and has received both state and federal funding. And essentially, that presentation outlined to us that that even when it's up and running, that project can potentially only take off the road maybe 15 to 20% of the freight that currently travels on it. So that is an important part of the future for us in the corridor, but on the other hand, it just underscored that we still need to make capacity improvements, and we also have to deal with current capacity regarding both traffic management and incident response. We've had the head of the Virginia Trucking Association here. He went through a lot of the issues involving specifically trucking, the amount of trucking, and obviously the importance of this corridor today and how they view it into the future. We were then given presentations by the 95 Coalition, which is a federally chartered and supported multi-state effort trying to make improvements to the 95 corridor, essentially saying that's one end of the spectrum for maybe how we should work together in the future. We also had a presentation by the 81 Coalition, which is a more informal group, primarily local government officials up and down the corridor, but which doesn't have a staff and doesn't really have any budget except for very specific projects that they work on. And sort of that's a group that currently exists, and the issue is how do we as states with obviously direct interests in this corridor, how do we come together, formally start to work to improve the corridor and to make a better traveling experience. So this is essentially what we walk through during the day. And our next steps are basically this. This Virginia is really the state. We have almost 40% of I-81 is within Virginia. And we are going to, as next steps, come back out to these jurisdictions to look to first do some very concrete steps to coordinate. We're specifically interested in incident management and incident response, and very interested in trying to have a better monitoring and management of the traffic flow in the northern part of I-81, where you have essentially 4 states come together in a very short length of I-81. That is, obviously Virginia, West Virginia, Maryland, and Pennsylvania. This grew out of not only, I'm going to say more routine accidents have occurred, but also last year when we had the major snow, Pennsylvania took the step of actually having to close 81 because snow falls there. But where there was little coordination with the other states. So our issue is how do we better share information, communicate, and Virginia is willing to actually put money into actual integrating their other states' traffic monitoring systems into our system, so so that we can warn the traveling public and the truckers on 81 when there's problems up north. So that's one thing that we are going to immediately work on together. Another areas we're going to work on together is better protocols on incident management when accidents and other problems occur in the corridor. This is to support efforts very similar to what's happened on the I-95 corridor. We are also going to broach with the other states the formation of a more formal, official, multi-state effort to essentially put together a vision and a plan for the corridor into the future. We do believe that when you look at all the numbers, that the traffic now is very heavy in this corridor, but it's going to continue to grow into the future. So those are essentially the next steps. We're going to come out and ask for the other states to support these efforts. And then in addition, Virginia itself, because we as a state don't necessarily have our own vision as to what we want to do within the various communities up and down the corridor. We're going to start our own effort within the next couple weeks. We're going to be reaching out, holding essentially public sessions with and outreach sessions with local governments, planning districts, the metropolitan planning organizations, stakeholders, and the public to get their feedback and thoughts about how we move forward on making improvements to the corridor. And the hope there is that we can start to pull together, I'm going to say, a consensus that early in the spring try to hold a full corridor conference, hopefully with the governor, where we can essentially outline what we're going to do. What the intent would be is that then, if we can get a consensus, we'd like to start to place in our 6-year transportation improvement plan, which is adopted a few months later, to start putting money into that plan for improvements on the 81 corridor, in addition to the spot improvements we're currently doing today. I'll just leave you with the fact that one of the reasons we're holding this now is that we believe we do have a window of opportunity now that the federal transportation reauthorization bill probably won't occur until sometime next year at the earliest, that if we can get all the states in the corridor to work together, that we could potentially provide a unified position in the reauthorization bill when the federal government finally moves forward on that. So that's basically what we did today. It was a very productive meeting. I don't believe the states have gotten together for several years as essentially states, and we will be going back out to all the states in the next several weeks, outlining everything I've just outlined to you.